good morning. The EC bill gets the backing it needs, 86-16, passing the Virginia House of Delegates Wednesday. All that's left is one final signature. University education from home. Cyber universities are increasing in numbers and the students as well. Get a deeper look at this option for higher education. The death of a contestant. A 29-year-old female contestant on a matchmaking reality show is found dead with a suicide note left behind reading, "I'm sorry, Mom and Dad." And spring is in the air, and this year's makeup colors is all about pink. Korean stars flaunt it, so why not you? Get more on the makeup trends of the year on Thursday, March 6th, 2014.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And good morning and welcome to Korea Today on a Thursday morning. I'm Kim Min-jung alongside Young Kim and Jun-ju.
All right, good morning. And it seems that Gyeongchip is today, which means that it is the day that frogs are supposed to wake up. But to tell you the truth, I don't know how any frog will even survive in this weather.
Frogs are supposed to wake up from their hibernation, their long hibernation. So if for all the frogs out there, do wake up. It's time to get to work. Spring is here.
So the temperature has to get warmer, but the wind is strong today, and we'll be seeing lower than usual temperatures nationwide. So do bundle up when you get out.
That's right. Well, we'll begin with our top story, a major development in the textbook bill in the U.S. state of Virginia that stipulates that the body of water between Korea and Japan be called the East Sea along with the Sea of Japan. The Virginia House of Representatives held a plenary session and passed the bill on Wednesday local time. The bill now awaits the final seal of approval by early April by Virginia State Governor Terry McAuliffe, who had promised Korean-American voters to sign the bill into law, but now faces strong opposition from Virginia's major trading partner, Japan. Korean-American activists had been concerned about the fate of the bill as earlier in the week, Senator Louise Lucas and her committee had voiced their opposition to the bill, saying it caters to only one minority ethnic group.
And for the first time ever, the unresolved matter of Japan's wartime sexual slavery was raised at the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva on Wednesday. As the first top diplomat since 2006 to attend the session, South Korean Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se slammed Japan, urging Tokyo to take responsibility and compensate the victims.
This is an added insult to the honor and dignity of those victims who had weathered physical and psychological pains in the lifelong haunted memories. Such an attitude is an affront to humanity and disregards the historical truth.
Over 200,000 women, mostly Korean, were forced into sexual slavery for the Japanese army in the early 20th century. Top diplomats from around 50 nations attended the UN Human Rights Council session, but Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida was not present.
And now there are two men at the helm of a new opposition party here in Korea. The head of the main opposition Democratic Party, Kim Han-gil, and the chief of the minor New Political Vision Party, An Chol-soo, have decided to both serve as leaders of their new coalition party. Kim now heads a party with 126 incumbent lawmakers, while the former presidential candidate An leads a party with 2 seats at the parliament. At a National Assembly briefing Wednesday, 2 spokesmen said an equal number of members from each side would serve as the party's leadership. Many insiders say the 2 leaders have yet to find common ground on details of the new coalition party.
Korea's education fever is showing no signs of cooling down. More than 70% of high school graduates enter college here in the nation. However, not all of them attend traditional universities. A growing number are going online to do their studies. To tell us more about this online bachelor's degree program, we now connect live to our Kwon So-ah. So, where are you at now?
Good morning, Jinju. I'm standing here in front of a university in southern Seoul, and there aren't that many people walking around campus just yet. Just a few students passing by from time to time, since the first class begins in 1 or 2 hours. But elsewhere across the country, there may be some university students taking part in online classes at this hour at so-called cyber universities. And that's because classes can be tailor-made for any schedule or preferences. So let's take a look at what else makes these cyber universities special and what challenges they may be facing. The excitement is in the air at Seoul National University's orientation ceremony, where thousands of new students are marking the start of a 4-year journey. It's the same scene at another welcoming event for freshmen at another university. But here at Seoul Cyber University, students do not go walking around campus looking for their classrooms after the celebration is over. They head home, or anywhere else for that matter, to take their classes. All they need is access to the internet. 27-year-old Soo-hyun is a sophomore at Seoul Cyber University. She already graduated from a 2-year college program where her major was entertainment management, but became interested in counseling psychology and tried to find a way to balance a job and her studies at the same time. Despite the most obvious advantage of taking cyber classes, which is not being bound by class times and locations, Soo-hyun says the sudden pop quizzes and discussions make the courses more interactive.
You can also take part in offline classes, as you can also go to actual campuses as well.
Soo-hyun says being a self-directed learner is the most difficult part of being a cyber university student, since there is no one pressuring her to study. After receiving her degree from the cyber university, Soo-hyun wants to go to graduate school. And she is not the only one.
People who come to cyber universities have a very clear goal. Most of them aim to begin a new career or enter graduate school.
Professor Kim says that online classes are not just advantageous for students, but that teachers also have an incentive to work harder for better content quality.
For professors of offline universities, it's not easy to receive feedback or monitor yourself. And that goes for me too, as I've worked at conventional universities for 10 years. But since my classes are now filmed, I can get concrete feedbacks.
With the conveniences cyber universities bring, the demand for virtual education has risen significantly over the last decade. The very first cyber universities in Korea came in 2001, when 9 were established. Today, there are 21. The number of cyber students is on the rise too, having jumped from around 6,000 in 2001 to over 60,000 in 2007 and nearly 115,000 in 2013. Experts say the biggest reason for the jump is an increase in the number of students in their 30s or older who are pursuing lifelong education. For younger students in the 20s, the low tuition prices have played a role in the increased enrollment. Cyber universities can be up to 1/5 the cost of conventional university fees. However, it's not all positive. Cyber universities still face unique challenges when compared to traditional universities.
I think it's credibility of a cyber university degree is right now is ongoing examination period of time. Some areas welcomed by the industry and the quality is highly regarded. But some areas is their quality is doubt. Is in terms of their degree programs and the methodology of teaching and learning and their job skills, etc.
Despite the self-evident figures and the increasing popularity of cyber universities, it will take time for them to develop the esteem that is afforded to the conventional schools. So it seems that cyber universities are still in their evolving stages. In fact, the demographic and perception of Korean cyber universities has gone through some changes since the beginning of its history. While 10 years ago, most students were high school graduates, these days there are more and more people who already have higher education degrees. Jinju?
So it does seem that the cyber universities are satisfying many people with different needs out there. All right, so thank you for that coverage. That was Arirang News' Kwon So-ah reporting live from Seoul National University of Education.
Good morning. Let's run through the front pages of your newspapers now. And let's go straight into our first paper here on 조선일보. And you heard in the headlines earlier on in the show, and of course topping the papers this morning is the story on Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se making direct reference to Japan's wartime sexual slavery at a UN human rights meeting. And 조선일보's headline right here reads, UN meeting blasts Abe administration's denouncement of wartime sexual slavery. Minister Yoon Byung-se stepped up the pressure on Japan by using the expression comfort women. And the matter was also referred to as the forgotten Holocaust. The subheadlines say this is the first time that a foreign minister has used such an expression at a UN Human Rights Council. And now scooting on over to 동아일보 here for a look at its top story. The headline reads, Mayor focuses on elections, local administration in turmoil. The paper is saying that local governments currently are quote-unquote diseased by the pre-election season. In fact, 26 of the heads of local governments have stepped down from their posts to run for the June 4th regional elections. There is thus a massive administration void. Now, those wanting to be re-elected are busy meeting up with voters, while many government officials are trying to line up with those likely to be elected, so not a very efficient political scene there. And let's go on to this image right next to the article for a change of topic. The picture title reads, President Park receives memento at luncheon for Winter Olympians. President Park yesterday hosted a luncheon for national athletes who competed in the Sochi Winter Olympics at the presidential office of Cheongwade. And as you can see, she is receiving a memento from our ice queen, Kim Yeona. And let's go on over to 중앙일보 now for a look at this picture. Again, it's of the same topic here. The picture title says, you are the true heroes. And the president welcomed all of the athletes, saying she was proud of the dauntless spirit and courage the athletes displayed throughout last month's Winter Games. She said each and every one of them were true heroes who planted courage and confidence in the hearts of the public. And now let's go on to Gyeongyang Shinmun here for a look at another picture. The title reads, National People's Congress opens Chinese #1 with #2. The picture shows Chinese Premier Li Keqiang looking over at Chinese President Xi Jinping at the nation's annual legislative meeting, which opened yesterday over in Beijing. And of course, we'll have more details on that coming up in international news later with Eunice. And in the meantime, we'll go on to another story staying with China on the Korea Economic Daily. And the headline says, China holds 7.5% growth by releasing money. China yesterday unveiled an economic growth target of 7.5% for this year to induce an increase in the public spending. And China also plans to boost its 2014 military spending by 12%, marking another double-digit increase of its defense budget as well. And that was a look at your newspaper headlines for Thursday. And coming up are the stock numbers from Wednesday.
As we mentioned at the top of the hour, today is Gyeongchip, and frogs are supposed to wake up from their hibernation. Really, it's too cold for them. Sub-zero temperatures all around Korea.
I think most frogs are going to put their wake-up call on snooze for a little bit, right? Now, our highs are going to reach up to 9 degrees in some parts of Korea. We'll get a look at today's highs. Now, Seoul will get... We'll start out the day pretty much in -4 territory and to get up to about 5 during the day. Busan will see the nation's highest high high temperature at 9 degrees. And Mount Kumgang will see -1, so it'll stay in the minus throughout the day today. Tomorrow, the temperatures are supposed to rise just a little bit, but for now, we're going to have to deal with the Gotsamchui weather and bundle up a bit for now.
As the first foreigner to receive a doctorate in Korean literature here in Korea, he is known as the Korean literature evangelist, having translated over 2,000 Korean works of literature into English.
Now, Professor Emeritus of Kyunghee University, Kevin O'Rourke, recently published his new book, A Collection and Observation of Korea, and joins us in the studio this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Professor.
Nice to be here.
So, Professor, after decades of translating works of Korean literature into English, you've published this book, 40 Years Without a Horsehair Hat. Can you tell us a bit more about this book?
I like the title.
I like it too.
Yeah, I like the title too. It's poking a little fun at prized institutions. When Jjak and the great scholars of Shilla went to China, they found that they were able to pass the civil service examination without too much bother and get positions in the government. But progress up the ladder was extremely difficult. And they soon discovered that in China, all the people are Chinese. So it's difficult for foreigners to establish a niche for themselves. So when I came to Korea in the 60s, I also discovered that in Korea, all the people are Korean. So it's difficult for a foreigner to establish a niche for himself in Korea. And the title pokes just a little fun at that. And so the 40 years point is that I spent the first 10 years learning Korean and learning about Korean literature. So I didn't dare claim 50 years without a horsehair hat, just 40.
Just 40.
You arrived in Korea in 1964. That's way before we were born. So you probably know more about Korea than we will ever know this country now. But you said in a recent interview that Korea was a happier place back in the 60s than it is now. What do you mean by that?
Well, what I meant by that was happy in inverted commas. People weren't running around with honey oozing from every pore. But people in general had nothing. And there was one 10-story building in Seoul.
Wow.
There was 100 kilometers of paved road in the entire country. So people had nothing. And it was when they started to get something that that wonderful Korean category called yokshim came into play, avarice or desire or whatever you want to call it. And that always breeds a certain discontent. So people were very kind and nobody got angry with you, and you could park your car where you liked, and policemen sent you up one-way streets, and it was all very nice, but it was also very difficult because there was no bread, there was no milk, there was very little that a Westerner would eat. There were no restaurants very much. So life was difficult, but every day was a test. And if you went down the country, you didn't know how many bridges would be in or out, and you put the Jeep into low, and before you knew it, you might be heading for the East Sea.
Now, there is a lot of greed and competition, you're right, but you've translated over 2,000 literary works from Korea. Now, what are you most fascinated about Korean literature? I majored in Korean literature myself. It's not the easiest subject.
It's not the easiest subject, but I belong to an organization called the Columban Fathers. And when we came to a country, we normally came for life. So there's no question of spending 5 years in Korea and then going to Japan, because you have to start all over again and learn Japanese. And China was out at the time, or that might have been a tempting alternative. So the first thing you had to do was learn Korean properly. And if you're going to spend your whole life, just a superficial knowledge of Korean is not enough. So I very early on decided that I would like to go deeper into the literature and the culture, primarily to learn Korean. And then when I got in, I went into the graduate school in Yonsei in 1968. I was the only foreigner on campus.
Yeah.
So eventually ending up as the first foreigner with a PhD is not a big deal. I mean, there was nobody around.
So you've been in Korea for nearly half a century, and you've seen the changes that Korea has gone through. What do you think are the perceptions that foreigners have Korea in this day and age?
Yeah, it's an enormously interesting question. I mean, in my 50 years, I've never said to myself, apart from myself, what do foreigners think or expect about Korea? I mean, that's that introspective thing that's always at work in Korean society. It's why we want to win the Nobel Prize so badly, so that we get recognition outside. But if you're living in here, what foreigners think is irrelevant. And it was always irrelevant to the great thinkers here. They always said, don't mind what people think. Empty the heart and look for the light of heaven.
You're right. Koreans tend to put too much emphasis on what other people think of them. So maybe that's something we need to think about. Now, you're from Ireland,
right.
But Irish literature is something that is relatively unknown here in Korea. And as someone who tries to bridge the two countries, what do you want the Korean people to know about Irish literature?
Well, I wouldn't agree with you that Irish literature is relatively unknown.
Okay, I stand corrected then.
When I got here in 1965, I went to an event in Korea University, a reading of Yeats's poetry with original recordings of Yeats that I had never heard in Ireland. And we listened to the recording and drank Macaulay. Now, there's a very vibrant Yeats society here in Korea. There's a very vibrant Joyce society. And I myself introduced our latest Nobel laureate, Seamus Heaney. I introduced him to Korea, and I actually supervised the first Seamus Heaney PhD. So there are a lot of people, a lot of academics interested in Irish literature at the moment, and we have a wonderful number of the finest poets, 10 or 15 in Ireland at the moment, and very fine novelists. And Korean students are very aware of where we're at, and they're very anxious.
We enjoyed having you on the show today, this morning. Thank you for taking the time out to come talk to us.
Thank you,
Professor.
Thank you very much, Professor. I will definitely check out this book.
Today is day 2 of the annual full legislative session in China, and already a couple of developments to talk about. Eunice Kim joins us from the International News Desk. Good morning. Let's first talk about the boost in military spending. It's the biggest jump in 3 years.
Right, Minjung, as part of its master plan, which was announced ahead of the National People's Congress yesterday by Chinese Premier Li Keqiang, he said that Beijing will raise its military spending by a whopping 12.2%. That's double-digit growth to about $131 billion US. That is a bigger margin of growth compared to the change in the total government expenditure, which received a 9.5% boost from last year's budget, just for some perspective there. And this boost in military spending is being seen as President Xi Jinping's push to create a stronger military amid, of course, the heightening tensions in East Asia, and also to grow China as a maritime power.
So double-digit growth in national defense, but the economic growth target was left intact.
That's right. It will be kept at 7.5%, and the key words here is sustainable growth. Now, last year, China's economy recorded a 7.7% economic growth. That was the worst since the year 1999. And keeping the growth target the same, or rather lower than expected by some, He's also casting a doubt on whether China will be able to follow through with some of the sweeping reforms, economic reforms that it had proposed back in November during a plenum then, whether they will be focusing more on social stability this year.
We'll keep an eye on the world's second largest economy there. Now, let's turn to Ukraine for a quick update.
Absolutely. The latest is that Russia has turned down calls by Western nations to withdraw forces in Ukraine's Crimea. This as leaders both from the United States and Western Europe are putting their heads together to swiftly come up with a diplomatic solution to this crisis in Ukraine. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry had face-to-face talks with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov, after which he stressed Ukraine's territorial integrity needed to be respected. Meanwhile, Lavrov said that Moscow and Western powers agreed that the Ukrainian government and opposition needed to respect a EU-brokered peace deal signed late last month. This as the European Union has unveiled a package of aid and grants worth some $15 billion to help the Ukrainian's new government over the next couple of years.
Okay, let's shift over to France. Now, a new poll that was leaked showed that most of the French surveyed preferred former IMF chief Dominique Strauss-Kahn as the country's leader over incumbent President François Hollande. Now, both men are no strangers to scandals, I must say.
Right, and this is a surprise survey. It was conducted by French daily Le Parisien, but was never published and rather leaked by a local radio station there. The newspaper reportedly opted not due to editorial reasons, and according to reports, that poll found that more than half, some 56% of the French poll chose the former IMF director Dominique Strauss-Kahn as the better choice to incumbent leader François Hollande. Now, Strauss-Kahn, you'll remember, was widely anticipated to run in the 2012 presidential election against incumbent Nicolas Sarkozy, but of course that 2011 arrest for sexually assaulting a hotel maid in the U.S. forced him to resign from the IMF. That case has been settled, but he currently faces other legal battles in France for, quote, aggravated pimping.
An interesting choice. Well, thank you, Eunice, for that.
You bet.
And still ahead on Korea Today, we're going to take you to Myeongdong later on in the show. Roughly 83% of all the tourists in Korea walk through the streets of Myeongdong. From Korea's makeup mecca to hidden gems of delectable eats, follow up on Korea Discovered as we uncover all you need to know about this Seoul hotspot.
On our yesterday's edition of Arts and Culture, we had a chance to cover something contemporary. Today, we're going to take a walk on the traditional side with Im Yoon-hee. Good morning.
Good morning. You know, it's always nice to go back to the traditional and see where everything came from.
Is.
Today, I have a legend in Korean traditional dance. He has over 50 years in this business, and he's very passionate about the future of Korean dance. And so let's take a look.
Designated as an important intangible cultural asset since 1969, Seungmu is one of the oldest and most recognizable traditional Korean dances. Kook Soo-ho has been a Seungmu dancer for 50 years now. Starting at the young age of 16, he's been performing on stages around the country, showing his years of experience gained by traveling the world.
As I traveled around the world, going to over 130 different countries, I thought about how I could dance this Korean dance. I spent the last 50 years gaining experience so that I can create themes and ideas for this dance.
Even when it was hard to make any living, Kook Soo-ho decided to become the first male dancer to use dance and his choreography as his sole source of income. To preserve the future of Korean dance, he's combined the traditional culture of Korean dance with a newly designed stage.
It's unbelievable that Korea doesn't have a stage made only for this traditional Korean dance. I've waited 10 out of the past 50 years for this moment and have been preparing this stage for a very long time.
In order for future generations to inherit and keep this tradition of Korea's cultural heritage, it must be preserved and developed by dancers such as Kook Soo-ho. He's developed his entire life to this art, and all he requests is that Korea show her love and support for traditional Korean dance.
In Korea, music, sounds, and dance are not just a preference. For the Korean people, it's an indispensable necessity of life, consumed to feed the spirit.
Now, so 10 years he's been waiting to put this Seungmu performance on. Now, tell us a little bit for our viewers what exactly Seungmu is.
Now, Seungmu is very distinct because of the wardrobe worn. It's a Buddhist monk robe with long sleeves with a cap, and so it's very distinct when you see Seungmu. Now, the origins of these traditional Korean dances, not all of them are known because they're from so long ago, but it's said that many of them do come from traditional Buddhist rituals.
And it does come from traditional rituals, but a lot of these dances, they seem to have sort of a legend that comes along with it. Is there any for Seungmu?
Exactly. So Seungmu is said to come from a legend about a very well-known kiseng or courtesan from the Joseon dynasty. And she is said to have seduced a Buddhist monk with this dance. And so she's the first one to have used this dance in a more artistic manner versus a ritualistic manner. And it's said that it was prohibited during the Joseon dynasty because of this. Now, whether or not this story is true, it's this aspect, this mystical aspect of Korean traditional dance that makes it so exciting for today's dancers.
And also leave something behind for the future generations to see something very traditional, serene, calm at the same time. Thank you very much, Uni, for this.
My pleasure.
And still ahead on Korea Today. Now, what do you think about the color pink? Now, pink is the in color for makeup. There's a lot of color palettes that change every season. It's hard to keep up with what's hot in makeup, but it's all about pink, pink, pink. So coming up, we'll be giving you tips on how to bloom like a flower on K-Style, and I'll pick up a few tips for myself.
In today's news sum up, a female contestant of a Korean reality show was found dead on the scene. A very tragic incident.
And what a tragic story and heartbreaking story. We'll go check on this story and other keywords this morning with Kwon Lina, who joins us from the digital room. Good morning. Tell us more.
Good morning, Min-jung, and good morning, Jinju. You are correct. We are beginning with a rather unsettling story this morning. Unfortunately, a female contestant of a matchmaking reality TV program in Korea was found dead on the last day of its shoot. This has left netizens all over Korea outraged throughout the entire day well into this morning. Let's take a look at the search list at 2 p.m. It ended up on first place, SBS Jjak contestant found dead. Let me tell you a little bit more about the program. It's basically a matchmaking reality TV program, and it was well into the last day of its week-long shoot in Seogwipo, Jeju Island when the authorities were alerted to investigate the scene of the deceased. Around 2:15 a.m. yesterday, another participant found the 29-year-old female contestant, only identified by her surname Chun, locked in a bathroom with a blow-dryer cord around her neck, hanging in a shower booth. A suicide note lengthening roughly 12 lines was found reading, "Mom, Dad, I'm so sorry, but I have no more strength to live on." The chief of the investigation stated that there is no mentioning of fellow contestants of the program, but only a general allusion to the complete complexity of relationships. The Seogwipo Police Department is still investigating the case. However, based on the suicide note and no evidence of invasion, they believe it was in fact a suicide. Chun's family members are refusing autopsy at this point. Meanwhile, media outlets are speculating that the possible heavy drinking and emotional burden on the show could have pushed the deceased to the extreme. Some outraged netizens started a petition demanding that the program bring down the curtain for good. Meanwhile, SBS has pretty much requested that the show come to an end. If you take a closer look at 5 p.m., the story ends up on 4th place, still remaining relevant throughout the rest of the day. Our deepest condolences go out to all those who are affected by this tragedy. Now shall I move on to something a little bit lighter? At 5 p.m., a talk on Kim Soo-hyun The Avengers: Age of Ultron was the most talked about item of this hour. Now, if you're thinking, is it that Kim Soo-hyun from the Star TV drama? No. It's different Kim Soo-hyun. She's also known as Claudia Kim, and now one of the most highly anticipated additions to Hollywood blockbuster, The Avengers sequel. Around 1 p.m. yesterday afternoon, Kim revealed through her Twitter account that she was cast for a supporting role on The Avengers: Age of Ultron. As her first stop on the job, she will travel to Los Angeles on March 13th to attend the upcoming global premiere of Captain America: The Winter Soldier. She will walk the red carpet alongside Hollywood greats including Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson. Marvel Studios is set to film parts of The Avengers: Age of Ultron in Seoul and its surrounding Gyeonggi province between April and May of this year as well. Now, The Avengers, the first movie, premiered in April of 2012 and grossed $1.5 billion worldwide and became the third highest gross filming movie in Korea. And all over the world, rather. Now, the last piece of time frame we're going to move on to is well into the evening at 8 o'clock. Great news coming from the entertainment sector, especially here in Korea. You've heard the song Let It Go, right? Well, there are so many covers all over YouTube. Meanwhile, one particular participant, rather the winner of the TV program Voice of Korea, was mentioned as one of the most noteworthy cover artists for this song by Entertainment Weekly in the United States. Let's take a look at the list. Soo-hyun, Let It Go cover, landed on first place. Meanwhile, SBS Jjak contestant Found Dead still in second place. Now we're going to move on to our last piece of the story. Let me direct you to the screen. Pantech company gets a green light for the debt workout program yet again. Korea's ailing smartphone maker, regarded as Samsung's main domestic rival, Pantech sought help to restructure its debt to radically improve its financial structure. And yesterday afternoon, its main creditor, Korea Development Bank, voted to indeed accept the request for the debt workout program. Pantech hopes this will allow it to freeze or at least delay the repayment of its debt. The move also gives Pantech more time to map out a mid to long-term strategy and seek more outside investors. It's been roughly 26 months since the last proposal for a debt workout program and a little over 5 months since the resignation of the company's founder and vice chairman, Park Byung-up. The firm says it took preemptive steps to address its financial straits because it does not have the capital reserves to remain competitive. Now, in the past, Samsung has helped out, quite ironically, Pantech from plummeting to bankruptcy. Now, the question of the hour is, will they do it again? That's all from me now. See you back on News Sum Up tomorrow.
So at around 2 a.m. this morning, our office got really loud with all the cheering and rooting for Team Korea as the South Korean football team went up against Greece and won. And for more on this story, SJ Lee joins us. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Now, obviously, this is a pretty big game because even though we have about 3+ months away to the World Cup games, manager Hong Myeong-bo still hasn't finalized his roster just yet. And this was against a pretty talented team against the 12th ranked Greece, like I said earlier this morning. Now, going into the highlights in this game, in what many considered as his last chance to make the World Cup squad, Park Ji-young scores a brilliant goal in the 17th minute of the match as he puts Korea up 1-0. Now, Greece, meanwhile, had several chances to score, but hit the goalpost on several occasions as sensational Son Heung-min finds the back of the net in the 54th minute, giving Korea the 2-0 lead. Now, a well-played match from the Taeguk Warriors as they beat the 12th-ranked Greece 2-0.
Now let's talk about Park Ji-young. His career right now, both in the pro leagues, it's been in question, and whether he's going to make the team, that's also been in question as well. Now, does that goal solidify his position on the roster? You know,
obviously his goal in this game match against Greece did help him out a lot, but it's not just his goal that was impressive. Overall, he played a very good game. He was moving around very well. And I think the thing is right now, although he was added onto this roster a little bit, very late, if there's one manager you want to play for, and your name is Park Ji-young, it's definitely manager Hong Myeong-bo because he knows what kind of player he needs to be around him. Now, he is the kind of player who can't make plays on his own, so he needs a lot of support from the midfielders If you watch today's match against Greece, he was surrounded by guys like Lee Chung-young, Koo Ja-chul, and Son Heung-min. And what makes this combination great is, all three of those players are capable of scoring, but also does a great job of creating scoring chances for others. So Park Ju-young at top as the lone strikers. These are the guys that you need around them. So as long as these four click together, we should be able to see him on the World Cup squad.
So, SJ, what could be a backup plan if it doesn't work out with Park Ju-young?
Yeah, I know. This is the question a lot of people ask because unfortunately for Park Ju-young, he is one of those guys that kind of struggle a little bit in the big stages like the World Cup and so forth. So obviously there needs to be a backup plan just in case Park Ju-young doesn't work out. And what's great about this team is the fact that there's great depth. And if Park Ju-young doesn't work out too well, there's also Kim Shin-wook who can play up on top as the lone striker. And also there's going to be other options that manager Hong Myung-bo can utilize, and that's Son Heung-min. He's a very versatile player. He can work as a midfielder. He can also work as the lone striker. So I think overall, we do want to see Park Ju-young do well because of the little struggle that he had in his club teams. But still, we'll be able to see other options with the Korean national team if it doesn't work out with Park Ju-young.
Now, the World Cup is coming up in June. Is this a good team to go into World Cup with?
If they can play like they played against Greece today, yes. And I think they can go far if they can play like the way that they played against Greece. But the thing is, there's still a lot of time, and we know that there's still a lot of work to be done with this team that they have right now. But the thing about Korea is consistency, and that is the key right now. If they play a great match like today, great. But they'll end up having a terrible match shortly after. And the reason for that is they kind of lack the focus time to time. If they can focus well in each match, this is obviously a dangerous team. And even though their offense is there, Korea still lacks consistency in the defense as well. And we all know that defense wins championships. So we'll have to see how much Korea can improve in their defense before the actual World Cup.
Okay. I'll go get some sleep because you've been up from 2 in the morning. So
I think we need to sleep just as much as he does. Right? There's a lot of excitement in the air in the morning hours.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
And it's time for a brand new segment, Korea Discovered. We're going to be finding out about some great locations to go to.
That's right. We have to make sure people packing their bags to come to Korea have the best experience here. And joining us this morning is a travel expert by the name of Jung Se-mi. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. First of all, welcome to our first segment of Korea Discovered. Today we're going to visit the country's most popular tourist place, a spot where some 83% of foreign tourists have stopped by. Curious where this is? Then let's take a look. In 2013, 12 million tourists visited Korea, setting a new record. To find out where the most popular destination was, I headed out to Incheon International Airport to ask them myself.
My husband and I like Samcheongdong, Shincheodong, shopping areas. Yeah, Myeongdong, always fun.
So the next time I come to Seoul, I would love to go to Myeongdong for the good shopping, and they also have a lot of nice restaurants.
I want to visit Myeongdong because I know that there are a lot of shopping stores and I love fashion, so I'm here to try all the food and buy all the fashion that I can.
Myeongdong is famous as Seoul's booming downtown district. The name Myeongdong is derived from its regional name Myeongnebang, given during the Joseon dynasty. During the Japanese occupation, this area, along with Chungmo-do, was developed into a financial and trade district. The once guitar-filled shops and cafes have evolved into an ever-changing and dynamic hot place for culture and fashion for younger generations. So as you've just seen, the first place that we're visiting is Myeongdong, dubbed by the epicenter of Seoul's tourism.
Now, Sammy, Myeongdong has become a very famous tourist destination in Korea,
Yes.
even for world celebrities.
That's right, and the ever so changing facet of Myeongdong, it makes it a place that you have to get updated. You have to stay up to date with it, right?
That's exactly the reason why I'm here for you guys. So I'm about to give you guys the hottest information on where to visit and where to eat, and also where to stay to recharge so that you could enjoy the full fun of the city. So let's get started. Korea discovered, and the first place that we are going to is this place, Myeongdong Cosmo Road. So Myeongdong has been a global mecca of shopping center in Korea, and its streets are lined with all sorts of shops that attract visitors. More specifically, Myeongdong's Cosmo Road is where some 130 cosmetics brands are all situated close to each other. And despite the fact that some of these shops are the same and that so many are located in such close proximity, this street rakes in the most revenue from cosmetic sales in the country. And next, listen up if you are Hallyu fans, because I'm going to show you guys the hottest K-celebrity place in Myeongdong. Well, inside Lotte Department Store's Young Plaza in Myeongdong is SM's pop-up store, adored by many K-pop fans. Here, visitors can purchase various items featuring SM entertainment artists like TVXQ and EXO. And that's not at all. There are other things to see, such as holograms and trick art, where next to their favorite SM celebrities. Another popular attraction in Myeongdong is a cafe owned by a beloved K-pop star. Located on the 3rd floor of Mega Mac is J-Holic. Newly opened last December by JYG's Kim Jae-jung, fans can not only enjoy drinks at the coffee shop, but they can also take a peek at the celebrities' pictures and souvenirs.
After coming here, there are so many fans, and I'm also a fan of JYJ, so I really like this place. The atmosphere is really nice. Yeah, I hope so many people come and visit here, and I love Kim Jae-jung.
Now, Semi, celebrities all good, but you can't talk about Myeongdong without talking about the eateries. So that is really hungry this morning.
Absolutely true. And the first place that we're going to take a look at in Myeongdong is this place. This is the traditional Myeongdong Gyoja. It boasts 38-year-old tradition and taste. This place serves tasty and chewy knife-cut kalguksu noodles with a rich garlicky broth and thinly skinned mandu or dumplings. This place has become very popular among foreign tourists.
You showed us Myeongdong Gyoja and you brought some dessert for us.
I thought you were going to bring the kalguksu. I'm very disappointed.
Next time,
I'm happy with these two.
Well, as you can see, these are some of the most beloved street foods that you could find in Myeongdong by foreign tourists. And Minjung, what you're holding right now is the interestingly shaped spiral potato.
Take a look at this thing, right?
Yeah.
It's quite a sight. And the way they make it is quite unique also.
Right, exactly. And that's the fun part of going to Myeongdong and trying all these street foods, because you can really get to experience, to interact with the vendors. Yeah.
And this taffy is really popular with the Japanese tourists
16,000 strands, apparently.
That's right. And I want to show our viewers. Look, I'm making a mess.
Yeah, that's actually covered with cacao, and the others are tropical fruits, and some others are also rolled with nuts.
Wow. Melts in your mouth.
Yeah?
It's wonderful. I know you brought a lot more, but we have a makeup session to get to.
Right.
So we'll just have to say goodbye for now.
Well,
Thank you,
see you
Semi.
next week with more information. I'll be here.
To see you later.
Thank you very much, Semi.
Thank you.
All kinds of fashion and cosmetics worn by Korean actresses on TV dramas have become incredibly popular. So let's take a look at a few to figure out what this year's makeup trend is.
우리 붕붕이 오랜만에 언니랑 달려봐.
Actress Chun Ji-hyun's makeup style featured in a recent TV drama became an instant hit. Jun's character portrayed a sweetheart look with her vivid pink and glossy lipstick color. Actress Song Ji-hyo boasted a clean makeup-free face contrasted by colorful lavender pink lips. Meanwhile, actress Kim Soo-hyun captivated the public with her soft, creamy orange coral lip tint. Like the actresses who played out their feminine and lovely characters with pink hues, let's learn how how to beautify our looks with this blossoming season's pink makeup.
Now, this spring is all about pink makeup, and today we have our Tina Kim joining us in the studio to show us some of the cosmetics and the trend.
That's right. Excited. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm here to introduce you the hottest new trends in makeup. And to give you an idea, I'm wearing sheer pink makeup on today. How does it look?
It seems really natural.
Thank you for your kind words. So spring is back, and once again, pink is the makeup color to look to. So let's find out more about the pink makeup tips with this video. This spring, vibrant pink has quietly made its entrance to capture the hearts of many women. So how exactly should you be wearing pink makeup to follow the trend and pop the season? Before applying pink shades, bright, luminous base makeup is a must.
It's important to thoroughly cover blemishes, but make sure it's not too thick so your face still looks young and vibrant.
I decided to put on light pastel-toned makeup with pink lip color as my focus. I'm curious of the outcome.
Instead of applying a lot of pink shades for the eyes, put just enough to create a nice contour, so more focus is turned to the pink lips.
Now for the most important part, I'm putting bright pink lipstick on my lips.
Apply natural pink colors to illuminate and highlight the skin for a clean, crisp look.
Finish it off with a blusher. Here's my own personalized pink makeup. What do you think? Feeling spring yet? So we're done with the makeup, and this is the final look, and I have to say I really love it. I love how there's a fun pop of color on my lips, but still the whole look is kept natural. It makes me just want to go on a picnic. What's the best way to apply pink makeup most appropriate to my skin tone and texture? For those with light complexions, use strawberry milk colored blush and lipstick to highlight your glowing skin color. If you have slightly yellow to beige skin color, apply warm coral pink lipstick instead of cool shade pink colors, as this may just overly accentuate the lips and cheeks. Dark-skinned users can give off a vibrant look when using toned-down brown-shaded pink.
This spring, more emphasis will be on lipstick colors, more precisely in bright orchid shades. This color is close to lavender pink, and it gives off a very positive aura. Anyone can easily flaunt this bright spring look with blush and eye makeup.
So, Tina, the keyword for the spring season is pink, but there are so many pink colors. We don't know what color would fit me right.
Right, that's a really good question. Because pink is so popular these days, there are so many different shades to choose from. And Young, I'm sure that
what
you're
are your
thinking.
Suggestions for me? I wanted to ask you.
I think you have a very nice natural glow.
Really? How about you have any recommendations?
For someone who has a darker complexion like myself, Jinju I think is on the fairer side, but I'm a bit on the darker side. So give us tips on how we can play with them.
Sure. So this color right here is the light pink, and it's just an all-time favorite color. A lot of people prefer this color because it's easy to pull off.
That'll match your blouse here.
Yeah, it goes with your jacket.
This is exactly why I wore a pink jacket today.
And this one is the hot new product in market these days. It's the lavender pink.
Wow.
And it's basically the George Clooney of pink tones. It flatters everyone.
Clooney of pink. Let us try that also.
Sure.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to put it on air just now, but go ahead, explain to us while I have fun here.
Okay, and if you have darker skin and you want to really play with makeup and be adventurous and bold, you can go for this
hot pink right
Wow.
here.
It's rather bright. I think that's similar to what Jeonjiyeon wears, right?
But
Yeah,
if you
it's the
want to
Chansung-yi look.
put on this makeup, I think you should tone down all your eyeshadows and blushers.
Maybe that's a good idea. That's like
True.
making a statement with your lips.
It is. That's a very good point, actually. I mean, for blusher, actually, the blusher market has been really slow because there was a lot of emphasis on lipstick products. But they're making a comeback this spring, and especially with natural colors like these, to bring out the natural glow from within your skin. So just put it on a makeup brush and use slow circular motions so it doesn't pile on too heavily. But you still look younger and lovelier. And also, it's important not to go heavy on the eye makeup because we're already focused on the lips and cheeks. And you might end up looking like you're about to join a circus if you put too much focus on the whole lot of your face.
Right.
So keep it simple, put on a thin layer of eyeliner, and also use brown eyeshadows like these to create a subtle contrast.
All right, sounds great, Tina. You know, all I know is that I have a lot of gift ideas for the people around me as well as my wife back home. Thank you.
Right, no problem.
Right, okay, thank you, Tina.
Oh,
And,
my pleasure.
How do I look as I wrap up the show? I look pink. I look like I've eaten something very red. All right, well, thank you for watching, and see you again tomorrow.
All right, bye-bye, everyone.
You're out of the shop.